wasn't going to come back on tonight. I wasn't planning to, but I've decided there's still all the organising to be done since I ended the last one like an hour ago. And I kind of figured I could all just chuck it all on the floor and go to bed, which, to be realistic, that's what I wanted to do, but I thought, screw it, we'll come back and make another one tonight. I suppose I did it bang on midnight, so it is the date all changed in the title. But this is episode 86. We're not going to muck around. We'll get some noise on in the back and we'll just get started. I'll be surprised if this one gets 50 views, but screw it. Put on a Jago Hazard video in the background and we'll just go from there. I am tired, but in my head, yeah, man, it's going alright. I was going to just chuck it on the floor and go to bed, but I thought we'll go live again, we'll get organised, and we'll get things done.
Has your car ever been lasered by a skyscraper? Then
but yeah, favourite minifigure in my collection's very hard. It might be these custom ones I got a few months ago. Let me show you this. These custom Complete Saga accurate Kevin Owens. The original Final Force from 2013 is a cool figure. I have a bunch of them over here behind me. Right, I'll be back in one moment, but we're gonna get this sorted out.
What else? What else? Oh yes, it used to fire heat rays at the surrounding area, melting cars and starting fires. The problem was noted in 2013 while the building was still under construction. Businessman Martin Lindsay parked his Jaguar on Eastcheap and thought nothing more of it. When he returned, he was surprised to see that his beloved automobile had sustained severe damage, with panelling, one wing mirror and the badge all having melted. It appeared that, at certain times of day, the walkie-talkie was perfectly shaped to focus the rays of the sun into a beam of intense heat. The key factor was the concave shape. There's a legend that Archimedes built something similar to burn Roman ships circa 212 BC. Nothing to do with this video, I just thought it was interesting. Raphael Vignoli evidently wasn't familiar with the tale anyway. It seemed that the developers
so I've collected twice, right? There's my collection that I had from 2008 to like 2014, but due to like things that went on in my personal life, I had to restart. So this collection is from 2015 on. I'll be right back. Just got to deal with something with the dog.
Sunshine, but only when we don't want it. When you're building an unusually shaped office building, you get it. When you're making a video about the effects of the sun on said building, you don't. In fairness, the developers, Land Securities and Canary Wharf, offered an apology and paid for the damage in full, and the City of London suspended the parking bays in the line of fire. Mr. Lindsay said to CNN that, being in the construction industry himself, he understood that sometimes unexpected problems arise. But Mr. Lindsay wasn't the only one who experienced the wrath of the walkie-talkie. A van driver named Eddie Cannon stated that all the plastic on the left side of his van, including a bottle of Lucozade, had been melted by Apollo's Fury, although I don't think he used those exact words. A local barber, Ali Akai, reported that a ray of heat actually set the doormat of his shop ablaze. Mr. Akai commented, "Customers are not going to come in if there is a fire in front of the door." No indeed, Mr. Akai. I myself tend to avoid shops that are on fire. Other reports poured in of cracked tiles, singed merchandise and blistered paintwork. The building gained a new nickname, the Walkie Scorchy. Do you see what they did there? Developers reassured investors that while there had been, in their words, a solar glare issue, it had done nothing to deter lettings. They erected a temporary screen followed by a more permanent solution in the form of a brise soleil sunshade, which appears to have done the trick. So,
Yeah.
whether the walkie-talkie inspires you or repulses you,
Right, I'm back.
set you on fire.
By the way, you're only seeing a small part of the collection.
I hope you found that video interesting. If so,
A chicken.
please do hit
Hmm.
like, and you may want to subscribe and hit the
Anyway, so we're just going to reorganize. We're just dealing with some stuff that's in here that needs getting rid of. But I figured, hey, opportunity to stream, so why not?
The history of bastards is long and complicated, but of all the countless types of bastards that plied Britain's streets over the many years since George Shillitoe's omnibus made its debut, one stands out above all the rest: the route master.
Goddamn bags. But yeah, suppose it's officially Saturday. The other reason I'm streaming now is I'm trying to get close to doing my 100th stream, which I'm doing a special thing for. I'm buying a set to build. There's a vote on my community page you guys can check out. If you want to vote on, there's 4 choices for the set. I'll purchase and build. They're all retro sets. If you're new here, that's kind of primarily what we do. It's pretty much just the retro stuff. Just throwing some things out that we dug out when we were reorganizing the storage that I've decided what needs to go. So it's in the process of doing that. I covered the bed with stuff I was reorganizing from the storage at a stupid time of night, but hey. I don't have any Ninjago. I recently sold quite a bit of it, to be fair, but I'm pretty much a Star Wars collector. There's a bit of Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, like Pharaoh's Quest is up there, Alien Conquest, Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff are up there. It's just like paperwork and stuff like that, like non-channel related stuff that I just don't see the point into. That and some general junk that I've got lying around. That's one of those things, right, that make me feel so old, right? Because I remember seeing Ninjago when it was new. I remember at school, because I was in like primary school at the time, there was a lot of hype around it. I think that's crazy how old that is. I didn't realize it was like, until like very recently, I did not realize it until I saw the sets that it was 15 years old, which, hey look, that's nuts. Though, right, see when Ninjago came out, I got some of it, but Star Wars in that era, when Ninjago got its start in 2011, I don't know, man. I was always more into the Star Wars sets because that era specifically had some really good ones. Like, just to point out one, Superstar Destroyer. I've only watched the first 4 seasons, but from what I'm told from my friend who has seen most of it, like, I think he's seen all of it actually. He says it's one of those shows that unfortunately declined in value, not value, declined in quality. Apparently, it's not stood the test of time that way. I've not watched the whole thing. I don't know if I will, so I can't really make that comment myself. That's just what I know from what I've been told.
But stronger weight for weight and more resistant to corrosion. In the post-war era, the fact that steel was rationed was also a consideration here. For the purposes of maintenance, the engine, steering, and front suspension were contained within a sub-assembly that could easily be detached from the rest of the vehicle. The front suspension was separate to
2011 and 2012, right, for me, are the classic years of Ninjago. Because the first 2 years of the theme was really good. See, in 2011, you had all the skeleton themed sets. And in 2012, you had that whole lineup of turning vehicles to look like snakes, which I thought was pretty cool at the time. But Star Wars at that time was in its Clone Wars peak. But we were also starting to get original trilogy set remakes and new ones. Like, we got the CS Superstar Destroyer that year. We got, what else is here from that era? We got the X-Wing that came back. The TIE Fighter came back. We got a Playscale Falcon that year. I don't know, man. That time for Lego in general is pretty cool. Because the theme Pharaoh's Quest and Alien Conquest also come out that same year. So it is like a peak time for Lego. Couldn't agree more.
This stood for Coach Master Leyland, as well as buses. London Transport operated the extensive Green Line coach network. This had been growing in popularity, and London Transport.
By the way, this will be a super short stream.
In August 1956,
it is one of the main centerpieces. I'll take the camera up and show you. Like, it is probably the set I like to show off the most, but I do have some of the other ones. Like, I've got the original UCS Falcon from 2007. I have that set speaks for itself. We understand the thing with that set. Enough said.
But it didn't seem that way in 1958. By this time, the first prototype was 4 years old. When first built, RM1 had been described by London Transport as years ahead. Years had passed, and it seemed that the Routemasters had been overtaken.
Yeah, it's one of those sets that there's some Lego Star Wars sets that speak for themselves. That's one of them.
As the Routemasters entered service in 1959, critics had more reason to doubt London Transport's enthusiasm. The new buses were prone to breakdowns. Now, to put this into context, this was less because they were a bad design than because they were a new design. With so many new features, there were plenty of kinks to be ironed out. And the busy streets of London were a harsh testbed for the new buses. Initially, there were 4 basic models. There was the standard RM. Then there was the higher capacity RML.
But yeah, 2011 is like up there as one of the best years of Lego. My second favorite Lego theme came out that year. So a Lego theme that I really like that I know a lot of people don't talk about enough anymore.
In this case, the L referred to the lengthening of the body.
It's an infamous Lego set. Because, like, see, when I was a kid, right, so we're going back to, like, 2010. Boba Fett was like £150 at that point, right? And I think you were about 300 to have the whole Cloud City experience 16 years ago. There wasn't a lot of Lego stuff, like individual Lego figures, worth that much money back then. Like, nowadays, right, there's plenty of Lego Star Wars figures that you can get for between £100 and £500. But back in 2010-11, the fact Boba Fett was only worth like 150, 200. The fact that a figure was worth that much was insane.
Transported to Heathrow to get the actual flight. For this,
Because we didn't have figures like that yet.
65 route masters of their own. These were faster and more powerful.
You know, nowadays it's very common for figures to be worth that much money.
The service was discontinued
But
in 1979.
when that figure came out, that was different. That's what made it the way it is. It's one of those crazy things. I remember thinking 150 was too much for that figure. Trust me, the value of that now, 150 suddenly seems like the deal of the century.
60% of it was made of standard parts, but it was intended to compete with the likes of the Leyland Atlantean and other rear-engined buses. Well, as you know, rear-engined buses were now a decade-old concept, and AEC were trying to get a foothold in a market that was already taken care of, so there were no more FRMs. While the route masters were pretty standardized, London Transport made a number of minor alterations to the design over the years in service. Perhaps the most visually striking was a cosmetic alteration, the Silver Lady. In 1962, London Transport were experimenting with underground trains in unpainted aluminium. It looked rather striking, as well as being cheap, and we wondered if they might apply the same principle to the route masters.
Like, what we're saying there. I've lost my train of thought.
Drivers didn't like it because the light reflected off the bonnet, blinding them. Passengers didn't like it because in the grey weather of London, it was hard to see. And in general, there was a feeling that it was a step too far away from tradition. The route master would therefore remain the big red bus. Well, except for all the times it wasn't. That same year, the last of the trolley buses was installed.
Like, it's a cool figure. Like that's, I get the whole thing behind it. But personally, he's not my favourite minifigure, weirdly enough, in my collection. There's figures I do like more than the Cloudsight Boba Fett.
There were staff shortages on the buses. Actual introduction into service couldn't take place until these were resolved, which they were, but it did nothing to help London Transport's plans for the future. In fact, by the end of the 60s, it was starting to look like the route masters' days were numbered. Production ended in 1968, and AEC and Park Royal's dreams of route masters on every street in Britain were definitely not coming true anytime soon. By this time, there were 2,123 RMs and 524 RMLs on London Transport's books. Well, as we know, the route masters' days were indeed numbered. It's just that it was a very high number. So how did we get from there to here? Firstly, and most obviously, there's the fact that the immense amount of work put into the route masters' job. Other things may not but it was the ideal bus for London at the time. Secondly, there was the fact that the route masters had their own dedicated maintenance facility in Aldenham. Aldenham Depot was built on land that had originally been earmarked for an extension of the London Underground's Northern Line. Here, every 5 years or so, a route master could be completely overhauled. It was a state-of-the-art facility, and it might be argued that without such a facility, the route masters definitely wouldn't have lasted as long as they did. And thirdly, well, there just wasn't anything better. That's a drastic oversimplification, so let me explain. Transport had had staffing difficulties. The question arose as to how cost-effectively especially less busy suburbs. Widespread
So the show will be ending in a few minutes. I know this is like why Waldor type of thing, but you know what? I still got one out, so I'm happy about that, right? So, it's like, I don't know, I said I'd do a quick one, so I provided a quick stream, right? Well, I didn't say I'd do this one. This one was a complete surprise to anybody. I don't sell anything, man. I'm not one of the channels that sells on streams. If anything, I am a compulsive buyer who buys far too much. I'm just not much of a seller. I occasionally sell stuff, but that's like maybe once every couple of years if I decide I want the space. For example, earlier this month I sold a bunch of Ninjago stuff. but that's because it was in boxes and unbuilt. I wasn't doing anything with it. But like what you see behind me is typically not. Like I have not got plans to sell this. There's nothing I'm planning on selling at the moment, man. I'm sorry. Like if I was to do like my only suggestion to you, right, is to subscribe and watch out for my community posts because I'm gonna sell something. I'll mention it in the community posts, but it's not something I do really often or ever.
Mercedes-Benz Citaro 0530Gs, better known as the Bendy buses. These were articulated vehicles with low floors and high capacity. They were also very unpopular. Articulated buses were common in many cities but new to London, and these ones illustrated perfectly why London had always got its own way in the past. Drivers complained of poor visibility. Their central entrance made fair to...
Like I know it might not be the answer you want to hear, but it's honestly I don't really sell my collection. It's very rare that I choose to do so, and if I'm gonna, the only stuff I really sell, right? Say I bought a modern set for a comparison related video or just to, because I'm curious. Eventually I sometimes sell them, but that's really about it. And even that doesn't really happen.
It's fair to say that it's had a mixed reception since coming into service in 2012. But what of the old Route Masters? Well, in 2005, they were finally withdrawn from service, with the exception of two heritage routes, 9 and 15. Those lasted until 2021, finally bringing the days of public service to an end. As you might have gathered from, well, all the
Hey.
used in this video, some are used on heritage tours, some for private charters, some for sightseeing, some have gone to museums, some have been converted for other uses. All told, there are, at the time of making this video, 1,230 original Route Masters. In fact, there are so many that if you walk around central London for any length of time, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were never withdrawn at all. The Route Master is as much a part of the London landscape as Big Ben or Tower Bridge. They were conceived in the aftermath of the Second World War, and it's certain that they're not going away anytime soon. This year we celebrate their 70th anniversary, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're still in some kind of service for their 80th, 90th, or even their 100th. It's pretty good going for a bus that was considered dated before it was even in production.
1 second, I'm just...
I hope you enjoyed
So,
today's video.
I'll quickly check something for this downstairs storage.
4 years now. If you did,
He wants to buy some of the collection, which granted is something that's brought up an awful lot. Fair enough. Because most Lego creators who live stream, right, are doing it to sell the auction kind of way. I personally don't. It's very rare that I choose to sell anything from the collection. There has to be a reason.
to my store of information. And all that remains is for me to say, hold on tight, fair please, and cheerio.
To be fair though, right, one of the most common things I get, and granted it's joke offers, is people wanting to buy Cloud City, but they make some like very funny offers. Someone commented on my last stream, hey, you got Cloud City, I'll give you 90, even though it's only worth 70, and I thought it was really funny.
What's so special about a pumping station, I hear you ask? Well, first
Oh, I found them.
you'd get invited to these things too. And secondly,
Oh, thank God, I don't have to go buy another one off eBay.
Cross Ness. It is an absolutely magnificent example of Victorian industrial heritage. What could merit such a glorious work of engineering? Well, it's sewage. Cross Ness was part of a massive rebuilding of London's sewer system that was every bit as important to the city as its railways, its roads, or its docks, but which, very deliberately, was kept out of sight.
But yeah, I don't mind the offers to buy things. Like, see if I was genuinely interested in selling something.
In the 1840s, the
I was. One of the other ones, I get the question a lot, right? Is it? For me, it's 26 minutes past midnight.
Foul air that people breathed in, which caused disease. Or, to put it simply, things that smell.
There's certain parts of my collection I always get offers on. Like, people always offer me for this gunship specifically because it has got that custom stickering on the side versus this is what you actually got in the 2008 set. Like, I know people, like, I don't mind the offers to buy things, but the chances are I won't. Like, I think this comes from me announcing in a short, right? There's a short that did get a lot of views, to be fair, where I was selling a bunch of Ninjago stuff. Yes, because it was in a box way back there and it wasn't really getting displayed or used and it had been there for nearly a year. I do collect other Lego themes. Like, as I was showing, there's Pirates of the Caribbean, there's Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Pharaoh's Quest, Marvel. Like, I do collect the occasional other Lego theme, but it's not something I particularly do a lot. But yeah, that's kind of just really it on that matter. But yeah, I say I don't mind the question. I'm not mad or anything. It's just, and as for your question, 100 quid. What would 100 get you here? So 100 would be like, just, I'm not offering, but just an idea. 100's like the Solar Sailor, an AT-AT, no, an AAT is what that one is. That Wyling's probably worth that. The Attack Shuttle, the T6, things like that. Probably both these versions of the X-Wing can be picked up for that much, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna be ending this live stream in a couple minutes. I only intended for this one to be a quick half hour. You know, I'm doing some traveling tomorrow, or today rather, since it is past midnight. So I am going to want to sleep in preparation for that. I know it's a strange concept. I'm not used to it either. But just keep going. I want to reach that. I know this sounds dumb, but I do want to reach that half hour mark. I don't like I typically don't like making these less than an hour. But I feel like less than half an hour, then well, what was the point in streaming? I will be right back in a second. But yeah, don't forget to check out that poll because it ends on Sunday, but I'm gonna extend it probably. Hello. I'm trying to do the toilet. What's wrong? What? You talking? I hear you saying stuff. Huh? Yeah, I'm doing the toilet. Yes, you can. One minute. Yes. Yeah. Let me see. No, look at. You want to eat, okay? You go. You eat. Yeah, yeah, I'll do that. Oh. yeah, I was away for a moment there. But anyway, I had to go deal with my dogs. But look, I want to thank everyone who joined in this 32-minute stream. Like, look, when I click in the stream, I will be surprised if there was 50 people in this. But you know what? Screw it. It got 4 likes, so I know 4 people enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one, which will be much longer and not at this time of night.